Right, you go block when like you've done something wrong, innit? Block, punishment block. It's called loads of things. Segregation unit. You're there. You go there when you're in trouble, yeah. And there's a couple of ways you go there. You can block yourself off, do something wrong deliberately to get taken down a block, and then just refuse to leave there. Some people do that. We've all been there. I've done it. I wanted to ship out, mate. I did enough. That was in the scrubs. That's another story. But yeah, you either block yourself off. You could, you can go down here. There could be a fight. You could have a fight with a screw or something and get twisted up. Where they put you like they're like pressure moves. They don't really beat you, the screws on the wing. You know what I mean? They'll like put you in these mad locks where it makes you feel like your arms are breaking if you move, and your legs are the same, and they could choke you, and yeah. So you get twisted up and taken down the block, or you could get a nicking, right? Which is, it's not really. You've been caught doing something on the wing which isn't warranting you getting twisted up and taken away straight away. I use an example. I got caught with hooch, yeah. Prison hooch. I mean, it's alcohol, isn't it? Bread, water, sugar, fruit. You ain't got to use. There's loads of different things you can use. Instead of bread, you can use OXO cubes, Marmite, yeah, Screws Angel. It's like rocket fuel if you use that, if you can get hold of that. But yeah, I was down there for hooch, innit? I was brewing it in my cell. I had 2 buckets, 10-litre buckets each, and I had a black bag in the buckets and filled up with hooch, yeah, brewing under the bed. They were like bunk beds. If you pulled them away, there was a little compartment under there. You could slide it under the bed, the bottom bunk, and push it back against the wall. And you literally couldn't see it unless you pulled the bed away, which most screws weren't doing when I was doing bolts and bars. Like cell checks in the daytime, make sure make sure you ain't cut through the bolts and bars, make sure the toilets are working, also, and yeah, I've gone and I had them brewing under there. I had an old one. The one bucket was like an old one which I'd used to make the new bucket, yeah, the other bucket, and it hadn't turned yet. It was basically like orange juice in one bucket and hooch in another. You do the bags up, and you're meant to put a straw in. Well, this is what I do anyway. You put a straw in, and it releases it like a valve, yeah, because otherwise the bags just blow up, and you've got to release the bag every day, yeah. And if they keep blowing up, obviously there's only so far black bag's gonna go before it goes bang. It's just filling up with gas, isn't it? So I'm at work one day at whatever workshop I was in, and it blew up. Simple as that, it blew up under the bed, yeah. Even with my little pen in the top of the bag to release the air. I don't know. It just blew up, innit? Yeah. my cell. I went back there afterwards, obviously, but it smelled like a brewery, and you could smell it on the wing. As soon as I got on the wing, I knew. You know what I mean? Anyway, screws coming doing bolts and bars. I don't know. He didn't smell it before he walked in there. He must have. But the screws think this sort of thing's funny. You know what I mean? He's walked in there, and he's just. But don't forget, it's under the bed, yeah. But so it's like that's sort of acted like a shield, yeah. But it's all like the back of the wall. It's all over the beds, you know what I mean? Because they feel like it's like the walls, and it can leak all over the beds, you know what I mean? So the beds and the walls are just cakeo with rotten apples, rotten oranges. Fucking, it stinks like, it tastes like cider, prison hooch. Yeah, that's what it tastes like. Fucking, it was everywhere. So I got back on the wing. Oh, I've got a nicking, surprise, yeah. Brewing hooch or whatever the charge was. So you get the nicking. I had to clean the cell, yeah. I didn't have to. You don't go there straight away, and you don't get in trouble till you goes in the nicking either, right? That's the thing. You go to a nicking, sit in front of a governor. He decides your fate. I had to clean this cell up. Screws think it's funny, don't they? Oh, that was Hooch. I'm denying it. I'm like, what? I already know what I'm going to say. I've cleaned it. I forgot. Saturday's the next day. So this is what happens on a nicking, yeah? You'll get the nicking, and they have to give it to you in a certain time. So say they give you the nicking, it has to be within 24 hours or something, or they can't use it. You know what I mean? And we'll pay they have to dot all the T's and cross all the T's and dot all the I's. The paperwork has to be perfect. If there's anything wrong with it, you get off with it, yeah? Anyway, I've got the paperwork, there's nothing wrong with it. I've got to go block next day, day after, whatever. And you go down the block, right? You're in your cell. You don't go with movements, which is like, some jails you might, but usually it'll be a screw come sometime after movements. It come take you away down the block. You'll go to the block and it'll be a holding cell, yeah, down the block. Everyone's down there that has to sit in front of the governor with their nickings. You've all got your nicking sheets. There's people down the block that have stayed down the block in other cells, you know what I mean? We're in a holding cell, yeah. It's like a court cell, you know what I mean? Bench, sink, and a toilet. Mate, it's logging themselves. People just standing about, and it stinks because people are smoking. I mean, I've smoked and all that, but you don't want to be wrapped around in a small cell with a group of geezers all smoking, and you know what I mean? It's shit. And that's the day you go in front of the governor. You go not guilty, you're guilty. If you go not guilty, you have to plead your case. You can ask for legal advice when it get adjourned. So you have to go back on the wing and ring your solicitor. You can actually run your if you know you're getting out. Say you've got a nicking and you're getting out in a month. So when you go to the nicking, you say, I want to adjourn it for legal advice. And you might get adjourned for a week. You go back down and you say, I haven't been able to talk to my solicitor again. I want to adjourn it again for legal advice. You're entitled to legal advice. They can't say no. Just keep doing that until you go home. Release date, no nicking. Yeah. You go in front of your governor. If you've got not guilty, you plead your case. He's either going to find you guilty or not guilty. Depending on the thing, you might go back to the wing. You might have to stay down the block. You know what I mean? But if you go back to the wing and you've got a punishment, it could be you get put on basic. There's 3 things in jail: basic, standard, and enhanced. Yeah, everyone starts on standard. You go into prison on standard, yeah. Like privileges wise, yeah. So standard is just normal. Enhanced, you get a few more privileges, allowed a bit more money, but basic is basically you're in trouble, yeah. You're at about £2 a week, no TV, allowed out yourself very minimally, and yeah. So you might get that, or it might hit you with all 3 losses: loss of earnings, basic for 7 days, something else for 7 days, extra days. You know what I mean? 14 extra days, and you can apply for halfback 6 months. Yeah, if you get extra days, you have to wait 6 months and apply for up to halfback. You never really get halfback, but you can apply for halfback. So, on my one, I was down there. It's fucking long, man. Go in front of the governor. Right, the screw will come and open the door and say, Aldred, time to go, yeah? You walk in and it'll be another office somewhere down the block, another room. In that room, there'll be a desk. There'll be a table bolted to the... There'll be a chair bolted to the floor that you've got to sit on, yeah? It's bolted to the floor so you can't jump up or throw at the governor. There'll be a table and a governor sitting opposite you, yeah? Stand behind the table, stand behind the chair, give him your name, your number, like Aldred A777-6AX. That was my prison number. One of them. And sit down, right? You got the governor sitting over there from you, and you think you've got a screw sitting next to him, and you've got 2 or 1 behind you, yeah? Again, so you don't jump up and all that, right? How'd you plead? Guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. I said, I didn't say where I seen it, but basically I'd seen some Jamaican geezers in another jail in another sentence making this breakfast out of bananas and oats and milk and peanut butter. They used to brew it up, yeah, but if they got caught with it, the screws thought it was hooch, right? And it was a well nice breakfast. I just said the same thing. I said I was brewing it up. I was making it. I was like, it's nothing like that. How does it explode? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Why is it hidden? When it's not hidden, it's under the bed. You know what I mean? Blah 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 blah. I got it adjourned. Yeah, this government must have just not cared. We got it adjourned so we could test the bucket, right? The empty bucket with the dregs in it. Right, one of them is pure orange juice. Yeah, test with what as well? It's prison, mate. Like test with what? What are you gonna do? Waste your time to test for alcohol? Anyway, got it adjourned. And by the time I went back, they both turned to alcohol anyway. Yeah, so like I just said, listen. I got it chucked really. I got knocked out. I said, listen, like, how's this fair? I went, you've left orange to fester for like weeks and weeks and weeks. When I'm telling you it's one thing, and you're trying to tell me it's hooch. I went, no, it is hooch. And the government must have wanted an early lunch. And yeah, I got not guilty on that one. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's a nicking, mate. If you go, depending if you're serious or not, you could stay down the block. Go back to the wing. I mean, blocks. The block's all right. I mean, it's people get caught up with not wanting to go block because they ain't got nothing. But time goes quick down the block, man. Because you ain't got nothing. You ain't got a TV, so you don't know what time it is. You got a book, maybe. You know what I mean? If you don't know what time it is, time flies. Trust me, time drags when you got a telly. I mean, but none of us are ever going to give up our TVs, are we? Like we can all sit here and go, oh yeah, it's crap anyway. Telly's crap. You constantly know what time it is, so it drags. At least with a TV, it don't drag. You know what I mean? And if you behave, they give you a radio. Sometimes the block's better. It honestly is. I've stayed down the block over Christmas, over New Year's, Boxing Day, obviously, New Year's Eve. I honestly didn't care. And when you're in prison, who the fuck cares where you are at Christmas? But anyway, I was starting to drift off from what I was originally meant to be talking about. If you enjoyed that, hit the subscribe and we'll chat tomorrow. Adios.